Hey, go, go, hey, go, go, hey, 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 go, go, hey, go, go, hey, go, go, hey, hey,
What is up, everybody? You guys, happy Wednesday. You know, we always start off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. So let's get over here to. Oh, if this thing switches. There we go. Oh, wrong screen. It's all right. Click of a button. All right, guys, first and foremost, you guys know these guys have been the longest tenured sponsor that I've had since I've been doing this podcast. I absolutely love Yellow Jacket. Man, when I first got into this trade, the first thing my dad got me was a set of Yellow Jacket gauges, and it just makes me think back to that time that I spent with him. Um, Everything about them, I just absolutely love. So let me get into this read. As most of you know, I'm a second generation HVAC technician, 20 plus years in the trade. I always think back to those days working with my dad that I cherish so much. My dad always said your tools are an extension of yourself. If you buy quality tools and take care of them, they'll take care of you. Most of the time, you only have to buy them once. Well, that brand that I think back to is Yellow Jacket. They've been making quality products for 70 years and counting, making them right here in the US of A. When they could have cheaped out and sent it overseas, they chose not to. If you're looking for quality tools you can depend on and get the job done right, look no further than Yellow Jacket. Yellow Jacket has been trusted by my family for generations now, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Remember, 70 years of expertise built into every tool. And that pump you see on screen is sitting right behind me, and I will be giving that away. So stay tuned, and you will know how you can win that pump. Alrighty, next. Guys, this has been a new one that you have seen is going to be Company Cam. I love working with them. They're amazing people over there, and I really think it's cool what they do and what they offer. Um, and it's only the beginning as far as what we're doing. We just had a meeting today, and some of the things we're about to unveil for you guys and things that I'm going to be able to give back to you guys is going to be amazing. So, guys, the only app every HVAC company needs is Company Cam. Make it dead simple to communicate, document, and problem solve with your technicians, no matter where you are. Company Cam brings documentation, communication, and liability protection together in one simple, easy-to-use app for you and your entire team. Take unlimited photos, videos, share custom reports, create flawless before and afters, even communicate and share progress with the property owners with galleries and project timelines, all from your smartphone. Company Cam is the only app every HVAC company needs. Check it out at companycam.com/HVAC Uncensored. Go get a free 14-day trial. And if you like it, for being part of HVAC Uncensored Nation, you will get 50% off of your first 2 months. Like I say every week, don't say I never did anything for you. Last but not least, guys, I'm not going to be able to pull up their website. Most of you know them, my friends Thad and Evan over at On Purpose Media. If you guys are looking for digital marketing services for your company, from two ordinary guys, not some big giant company, you want to be able to talk to the people actually doing the work. Thad and Evan are amazing guys. They're good friends of mine. They're other podcasters. Their show HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, and my website will be up soon, and they are giving all of my listeners for being a part of Uncensored Nation 10% off your first 3 months. So for right now, if you are looking for SEO, digital marketing, all that kind of stuff, reach out to me at hvacuncensored.com, and I will forward you over to them to get that discount. All right, enough paying the bills. Let's get on to this show. Guys, I have an amazing guest. Let's go ahead and do our normal Pledge of Allegiance so I can get into this guest. It's going to be a fun one, all right? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, four, three, two, one, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil Cavey Jr.
What's up, everybody? All right, now all of that jazz is done. Let me go ahead and introduce my guest. I have done a podcast with this company before. It was an amazing time. I'm really looking forward to this one. So, guys, if you could please put your hands together and introduce the Director of Public Relations at Service Titan, Mr. Chris Hunter. This thing's taking forever to... What's up, buddy? If this thing actually switches over, we'll be able to see you. There he is.
All right. I'm in. I made it. Hey,
Yeah.
very cool. You start with the pledge. That was awesome. So I appreciate that. I'm glad you do that.
Yeah, that's something that I've done ever since I started the podcast. Being military family, Marine Corps and stuff like that. It's just something that I've always wanted to give back, and especially kind of in the world we live in, not to get into all that. I just think it means even more so now, you know?
Yeah, man, I feel you. I feel like we got a lot in common. That's my goal, is to give back to this industry. It's been very good to me. So any way we can do it, man, we gotta build each other up.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I always think. Because you know how it is in the trades, you know. Well, I guess before we get into that talk, just so everybody knows, you know, who you are, Chris, how we were talking off air. Let them know like what you do, your background, and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. So I'm a technician at heart, man. I started off in this industry as a technician working for a utility. I worked for the phone company of all places, doing commercial refrigeration, and I took care of all the big central offices all over southeastern Oklahoma, and transformed from that into having a bright idea one day that I would start my own company. And so I did, in a small town in Oklahoma called Ardmore, 25,000 people at the time whenever I started it. And that was back in 2006. Went into business for myself. Didn't know a thing about business. I'd never even worked at another retail air conditioning shop before. I had just done commercial. So right away, I sought out the best and the brightest in the industry and just started learning from people that had already been there and done that. So that led to some great success. I had a phenomenal team and was able to grow that company to 5 different locations. Made my way out of the truck as a technician and actually put the full time business owner hat on, and then sold the company in 2018. And I've also got a training company in Dallas, Texas, here, and actually in Hurst, Texas, called Go Time Success Group, where HVAC is our passion, man. So we have a training school right there, and then also a group of business consultants that work in that field as well. But now, after I sold my company, it's like, what in the world do I do now? You know, I love this industry. It's been very good to me, and along the way in my company, I use Service Titan, and I got to know the founders there and a lot of other key people there. So when we connected, and they're like, "Hey, how would you like to come and help make our contractor successful?" I'm like, "Man, I'd love to." So I've been over there for 2 years, helping them. I'm like the customer advocate inside of Service Titan. So I get to be the voice of the customer to the internal team there, and then also externally like this as well. So
That's
that's it
that's
in a nutshell.
that's awesome though, because I mean, I like that story for several different reasons. For one, that you're helping and you know the industry because you've been in it, you ran a business. And I always tell everybody, all these people, whether you're a technician, a business owner, you always have to have an end game. Not everybody is going to have that company that we're going to pass it down to my kids, you know, keep going. Let's just be honest. Some people start businesses to eventually sell it at some point.
Well, that's it, man. I mean, so we wrote a book. My mentor and I, two mentors of mine, wrote a book called "It's Go Time." But the first chapter, it's called "Begin with the End in Mind." And I'm a firm believer in reverse engineering that stuff, because you're right. We're all going to exit at some point, and right now, I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that are being sold and taking advantage of this private equity wave, and for a lot of employees, they're kind of confused of what does that mean. What's the future for me? So maybe later we can even touch on some of that, because I've got to see it firsthand.
Yeah, well, one thing I can say is so I have like somebody from like Cardone Ventures coming on in a couple of weeks, you know, that big, like you said, the private equity, the venture capitalist stuff is really getting huge in our industry where, you know, I guess they figure they can't replace us, so they want to try to get, you know, dip their hands into it. And I think there's a time, there's a place for everything. I just tell people to be smart with what you're doing, because the other side of it is that I have seen a lot of business owners who thought they were doing the right thing and they've gotten screwed.
Yeah.
So one thing I didn't tell you before we started is this is uncensored. I do cuss, so if you hear a fuck every once in a while, I wanted you to know before it just hit you and you were like, whoa.
I
Um,
got you. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you.
so, um, yeah, so I just want people to be careful. Like I said, the whole point of this podcast is I want technicians and the small business owners, the big ones. Granted, I don't know if I'm helping too many big guys, to be honest. I think it's probably going to be like the smaller, like under 7 million, 6 million, that kind of range. I don't have like you know, Ken Goodrich listening. Although I'm going to have him as
Yeah.
a guest, but I don't think he's taking business advice from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised. So some of those people like Ken Goodrich and Ben Stark, these people that I know that had very successful companies, they're the ones that are the most open to learning from anyone because they realize, they can learn from anyone. They're always a student. And even as a technician, that's really where what got me, really driven was to be the best. I had a unquenchable thirst for learning. How can I? So I dove in. I tried to learn everything I could about air conditioning and ductwork and airflow and everything that I could. And ultimately, that's what even led me to having the company Go Time, the training company. I got to meet a phenomenal instructor down there. He came to our shop and did a bunch of training. But just trying to get better at all times is something I learned from those people like Ken Goodrich. So you'd be surprised. He may be listening.
Yeah, well, no, that's true. And to be honest, when first met, so I've met Ken several times now, but the first time I met him and I walked up to him and he was like, "Hey, Gil from Uncensored," I was like, "Holy shit, he knows who I am." And then we
Yeah,
got there to talking, and he was like, "Hey, you want to take a picture?" And I'm like, "Whoa, this is blowing my mind here. Like, I'm supposed to be asking him to take a picture, which you know what I mean." But it was just, and sat there and we talked to him for like an hour talking about different things. So I do agree. He's not what I expected. I'll be honest.
yeah,
Like he was very down to earth for what he does. And it was an awesome time meeting him because he sent me a text one time, and because we were gonna talk about him being a guest, but I know he's a busy man with. This is before all the
yeah.
stuff happened with Gettle and all that kind of stuff. And he sent me a picture of like or a video on like the private jet, and he said, "Gil, this is how all HVAC men should travel." I said, "Yes, sir. I'm trying to get there."
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, it's crazy what this industry's done. There's more friends of mine that have become multimillionaires, through this trade. And honestly, whenever I first started, even as a technician, I didn't even go into it with the thought of, hey, I want to make a ton of money. I went into it with the thought of, of course we all want to get paid, but it was the challenge. I wanted to learn how to fix stuff other people couldn't and really do things that others couldn't as well. So it's amazing kind of what drives us all. But there's a lot of very wealthy people now from the trades.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do is I try to be one of those advocates as a lot of other people are with, I got friends in here that are other YouTubers, like my friend Adam from HVAC Overtime. There's a bunch of different ones. Try to be advocates for the trade to let some of these young kids know that, hey, like you can go like that plumber with his ass hanging out. He might make $150,000 a year. The
Yeah,
trade HVAC is a good route to go because college isn't for everybody. I mean, let's just be honest. And I have 4 children, and if my boys came to me and said, "Dad, I want to do HVAC or I want to do plumbing," I would 100% be okay with that.
yeah, I would too. Yeah, in fact, mine are in the trade. So yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of parents say they're okay with it, but they're not.
Hmm.
Kids are frowned upon if they don't go to college, but then they go get these useless degrees and they come back with like a pool management degree, like or business management. Okay, well, what business are you going to manage? Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know. Okay, well, that was useless then.
I saw something the other day. I think it was Elon Musk. It was a quote. It was talking about, we'll gladly give kids 100 grand for student debt that they may not even use, but we won't give them a $10,000 business loan, to get started. So I think the perception is off of what the trades is, but luckily I think we're starting to change that narrative. I mean, there's been a lot of work in promoting what it is, and even at Service Titan, we put a lot of emphasis on, really focusing on successful contractors and their stories and how they got there. So hopefully we can help as many people along the way as we can.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I kind of want to ask you this since you built a big company and this will kind of be a few part question. One,
Okay.
um, how was it for you starting out? So did you plan before you started? Was it kind of like you just started and you learned as you went, or how was? I guess we'll cover that first, and then I'll dig into other parts.
So let's talk about the start. So I did it probably the worst way possible, but also probably the way that most people do. I had no idea. I just thought, what, I'll get my license and kind of start a company on the side. Like I said, I worked for AT&T, so I had a good job, man. I was paid a nice, comfortable salary, and got to just cruise around southeastern Oklahoma. So I just thought, wow, let's jump into this, and but I quickly learned, oh, this is a lot different than just learning how to fix an air conditioner. I got to figure out some of this other stuff too. So now we teach. Don't do it the way I did it for sure. If I could go back and redo, oh man, I could have saved, years upon the learning curve, of trying to start and manage that. But when I first started, honestly, I found my book the other day of whenever I first started the business, and I was going through there, and it was like I don't even think I hardly charged the majority of the customers anything. I was just going out to help, and but then I got a little too busy for me, so I had to bring on an employee, right? So I did like most people do. Looked around, and I had a brother-in-law, and I'm like, hey, guess what? You get to come help me on this job, and luckily he stuck, and now he's actually managing one of the locations there at the company. Hunter Supertex was the name of the company, by the way. But yeah, so I don't recommend just going into it with the win. I got a wild hair, the entrepreneurial seizure. I highly recommend getting a plan together and actually some money started before you do it. But if I had it to do over again, the first thing that I would have done, I probably would have hired one of these branding experts like Dan Antonelli, and I would have went in strong with a very strong brand right off the bat. I started with the white truck with my name on the side, that type of thing, and had to eventually transform into the Hunter Supertex and that brand. But that would be the first thing that I think I would do if I started all over again.
Yeah, people don't realize how important that branding is. It's huge, yes, and nobody's better than Dan. Dan and his team
Yeah.
at Kick Charge Creative. Actually, there's a reason that their designs win awards every single year.
It
Um,
is. And even as a technician, before I would have made this jump. So as a technician, and even as an early on business owner, I was still really focused on the technical end of the work, rightfully so, right? But as a technician, I probably would have taken some time to learn more about the business, the numbers side of it, and really poured that investment into myself. So I was 3 or 4 years in before I started learning anything about these KPIs and what numbers I should be hitting. And I mean, honestly, I would get my bank statement and look, and if I had enough money, to pay my bills and pay the people, then I thought I was doing pretty good. But I joined a best practice organization and had some phenomenal mentors in there to learn from. But I never forget, I joined that thing, and part of our weekly call, we would have to go on and report our numbers. And I'm like, you're like, oh crap, I don't even, I'm not tracking anything. I can't tell you what my labor percentage is, or, my average tickets and all this stuff. So they kind of forced me to learn numbers, and then I fell in love with it, fell in love with data and the numbers. But then it's also why I was an early on customer of Service Titan. So I got to see, you know, Service Titan from the view of a very small company up until, what we call an enterprise view as I grew. So getting the data right was very important. Learning the numbers and learning what to do when they're off. I would have invested a little bit more myself before I made that jump.
Yeah, well, get into a couple of things you said is because the reason I asked that is because so many people message me and they're like, Gil, I want to start my own company. I'm really good at installs. I'm trying to get a little bit better at service before I go to start my company. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but you probably should learn some stuff about business as well because you can be a great technician and be a horrible business owner. You can be a horrible technician and a great business owner. It's two different skill sets. And I tell people that, like, not to be an ass, and I say it a lot. I just want them to realize that just because you can be an amazing tech and fix anything doesn't mean you're going to be a good business owner.
Some of the best companies I know have people that have never they've never installed an air conditioner, right? I mean, so but the leap can be made from technician to owner. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, just because you're a good technician doesn't mean you can become a good manager or a good business owner. But I think if you have that drive, kind of, I know like you have and like I have, is if you want to do whatever you're doing well, you're going to give it all you got. right? So if you're a technician, you're going to give it all you got, and then if you're a manager, guess what? I'm going to learn how to become the best dang manager that there is. And if I'm a business owner, let's put that same effort in. I'm going to learn and study and learn from others who are doing things really well and become the best I can be at that. So you hit the nail on the head that most people don't really think about that, but they really need to. And whatever you do, just give it all you got, man. That was my motto.
Yeah, so and just a shameless plug real fast. If you guys have seen in the Facebook group, me and good friend Pete Ramsey are doing something here next week. Um, don't know everything. It's 100% free. I have so many people that message me saying, "Hey Gil, I want to start my own company." And let's be honest, a lot of people do it right before summer because they think, "Oh, I'm going to have
Yeah.
a whole bunch of work." They just don't plan for after summer. So
Yeah.
that's going to be completely free. Check it out, no strings attached. You guys know me. I don't bullshit you. It's 100% free. It costs you nothing. No selling anything. No nothing. Just good information, like-minded people getting better together. So, um, but on the second note of that is if you were able to grow, what kind of processes? Because you know how it is when you want to grow a company, you have to have a process or a system that's repeatable.
Yeah. That's it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we're doing now at the company that I run. So I'm not the owner. I'm the chief operations officer. So that's what I run the operations side of it, and thank God I have an amazing owner, Ryan, our GM, who takes care of that side. Amanda, like we have an awesome leadership team, but we still have some ways to go. But
Yeah. Well, we all do. Yeah.
yeah, but I've
So
noticed the processes. I'm sorry, the process is in place. So how did that go for you in learning and knowing and implementing them?
yeah. So I mean, it's all about your people and your process. So I mean, if you can build those both simultaneously, you'll do really really well. But the process is honestly, this is where you can try to create your own processes. Everyone says, I want systems, I want processes, I want it all figured out. Well, you can do that. You could document one thing at a time, and slowly but surely you would get them all done. Or man, this industry, people are so willing to share whatever they're doing that's working. So my advice is to go and visit other companies if you can. If you can go and actually see them in action, do a ride along with their techs. I know a lot of people will let this happen, but learn from the people that are already doing things really, really well. So that way you don't have to make the same mistakes that they made to get to that point. And so some of the best things that I learned were from other contractors that freely shared with me. But then what that did for me, now that I had proven processes, from other people, I could spend more time focusing on my team. And I love my team, man. We had a phenomenal team at Hunter. We were even named the best contractor to work for in 2016. But it was all about the people, and our vision for the future was to get really good, which meant build up our people and our processes. It was to expand into neighboring areas. So I had a little bit different of a vision. My thing was, let's develop the people and the leaders and the processes. And then we were in a small town, 25,000 people. There's only so much we could do there. So I wanted to create a path to take someone that rose to the top, plant them in the neighboring town, and give them all the benefits of being the business owner and letting them run that new operation. Well, we did that to 5 locations, and transplanted leaders into each one of those, and worked very well. But it was all about learning from proven processes, and then me spending the time developing the people. So don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. My goodness. Take, for example, I know we've said his name a couple times, Ken Goodrich. Well, Ken, one time I saw him at an event, and I told him, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming to Vegas one time, sometime soon." Well, he rolled out the red carpet. I got to go out there. I got to spend the whole day with his management team, sit in it, even on their management meetings, and learn what they were doing. They showed me all their processes and everything. No strings attached. He just wanted to give back. So, yeah. So I'd recommend seeking out those that are already successful and learning from them, and then taking it back and just taking massive action in your company to implement them.
Yeah, and that's why I love things like this. These little groups like I love like for the podcast, I love going to different events and getting to be at those events and podcast and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But I love going to those events because I love the um meeting other people, meeting the
Yeah.
I'm having a brain fart for the word that I'm trying to use there. Um but yeah, just the getting to know other people, I mean other business owners and build those relationships. And that's why I want to kind of start doing that with these groups. I know sometimes Facebook gets a little, cuz everybody's on a keyboard and blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
I want to try to get people that are actually serious so that they can do that same thing without ever having to leave their house. They can
Man, that's
ask
it.
questions. Hey, I'm doing this networking. Yes, somebody said networking. For some reason I can't the Facebook comments because it's a private group, guys, they don't let you come through. So,
Yeah.
but
Man, you nailed it. I mean, that is exactly what I did every week. I was part of the Service Nation Alliance, and every week I would meet with 6 to 8 other business owners, and we would go over hot topics or processes or problems in our company or things we were doing well. And man, that was priceless to me. So if you can do that for others, man, hats off to you, because that's exactly what works.
yeah, and it's and there might be something you're driving your brain out and somebody goes, "Oh, I did this," and that problem is all fixed. And and the other thing that I like to address, and I know people get sick of hearing me saying it, they're like, "Gil, you talk about sales too much. You talk about," and I don't talk about sales. I talk about communication because
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many good technicians out there
Yeah.
that don't understand the communication side, and it kind of hinders their career. Because let's be honest, you can have a guy that can go out that can fix whatever, they can fix everything. If they can't communicate that to the customer, maybe that's still an overall bad experience for the customer. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that,
Absolutely.
yeah, I want these techs out there to not be ignorant, to open up their minds and make what they're worth, because everybody thinks that if you offer customer options, that's that slimy sales guy, that's selling tech, trying to rip people off, and it's just not the truth. Oh, that's my
Well, the
buddy
way,
Tersh.
yeah. Oh, Tersh. Yeah, I know Tersh well. So my theory on it is this. So this is what it meant to be a super tech. I didn't want to sell anybody anything, but if I was truly going to do a good job as a technician, I was going to find ways that maybe other companies and other people had missed on how to keep them comfortable, how to save them money, how to protect their family and their home. And it was my duty to use my God-given skills to go into this home and do a thorough inspection and find the ways that I could help them. And if I can do that, it's up to them to buy. But I'm not going to cheat them of the skill set that I've invested so much to learn as a technician and how to solve these problems. I mean, my goodness, we would be doing them a disservice. So it's not about sales. It's about doing your job really well. And then also the communication aspect, man, is critical. I mean, at Go Time, if anyone's ever went through a build a tech class there, we spend just as much time on the communication side as the technical side, because uh, it's exactly what's needed.
Yeah, like I always say, when I was a technician and I would go in and talk to customers, I always wanted to set the expectation. So in business, I always say the three C's is, challenge, clarity, and care, what you have to give for your employees. And I would try to almost be the same way with the customers. Obviously, I'm not going to challenge them, but I wanted to set the expectations when I walked in the door, exactly what I was going to do, what I was going to provide. I make sure that I had a time guarantee from them. Hey, I'm going to be here. If it was a maintenance, I'm going to be here from, 60 to 90 minutes at least. Is that okay? I just want to make sure I got a time guarantee from you, a commitment. Yeah, no problem. And then I would tell them flat out, hey, I am going to do a thorough diagnosis of the system. I will go over everything with you. I will give you options. I won't sell you anything. At the end, you're going to tell me what you want me to do for you. Does that sound good? That sounds awesome, Gil. Let's do it. And that's what I would do. They would tell me what they wanted to
That's it.
do. I never had to guide them. I just used my expert opinion to answer their questions. Well, I call myself an expert
I
there.
mean, and they trust you. I mean, you're the expert that comes out there, and they trust what you're going to recommend to them. So The challenge sometimes of what we ran into a little bit, and I'll tell you one little tip that I'm sure you've used as well in your company. But there's a lot of young people coming into the trades, and sometimes when you send them out to a home, they're like, "Oh wow, you sure look young. Do you know what you're doing?" If they don't say it, sometimes customers are thinking that. But man, when you communicate well and you say exactly like what you said there, and then you show them, hey, I've got a thorough checklist here, so we've got a process at our company. It's proven that way we don't miss things. You can go through that. And then also by using technology, I mean, you had Yellow Jacket as one of your things there, but we used a lot of field piece tools for what it's worth. But there's something about you know take for example, when you take your car in to a mechanic, and the mechanic, he can tell you whatever he wants, right? And you're a little leery. Oh, really? Is that really broke? But when he says, no, I plugged it into the computer and here's the results, my goodness, we got a bad O2 sensor and we got this bad, oh, okay, well, we better get it fixed. Well, leverage the tools that we have now with these technicians, especially if they're young, to help be a part of the diagnostic process, and show them, wow, look, we check this, our device analyzes all this, it shows that we're a little bit low on airflow, and luckily here's some things that we can do to fix it. So that's one tip that worked really well for our team, and I see a lot of other people doing it well as well.
Yeah, and you should. Just so you know, if you watch this video later, I'm gonna cut out where you said field piece and put in Yellow Jacket.
There you go.
Just just kidding. But yeah, no, it's that's the truth, and I just like even like business owners or these guys who start their company, like maybe you were like I was good at what I did, you were good at what you did, but when you start a company, you can't be the one doing it all the time unless
No.
unless you always want to be just that one man band, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all about what you want. But if you want to grow your company, you got to be able to have that kind of process in place to be able to teach people what you did. And I won't lie, I fought the process at first when I was a technician, but
Yeah.
once I had that aha moment and I learned it, it made it easier because I knew every call I was doing the same thing. Maybe the problem
Yeah.
was different and what I presented was different, but I was doing the same thing on every call. It just got to be like clockwork. Okay, let me grab my booties, let me get my mat. All right, let me do, let me walk. Everything was the same. It was down to a science. I didn't have to think
Yeah.
about it. I was only worried about the task at hand, whatever problem I was trying to fix.
Man, I don't know if you're a fan of John Maxwell. I'm a huge fan of John Maxwell. I study a lot of his leadership stuff, but he calls it the law of the lid, and it's exactly right. I mean, we're essentially the lid on our organization, and until we're ready to lift our lid and start learning more about leadership and how to build other people, we're going to be stuck. And that's why so many companies are at that $2 million or under level, because it's hard for them to get out of the truck, because they're the lid on their organization's growth. And to be honest with you, it was the hardest transition ever for me to get out of that truck. And as soon as something went wrong, it was my instinct to run and jump back in that truck and want to get back out there in the field, because I mean, I enjoyed it, but I knew for the good of the business and the good of my team. Now I had several team members depending on me to pay their bills, and that I owed it to them to transition out of that truck and start lifting my lid and how to become a better leader, and then make things repeatable, just like you said. And that's a mentoring program. That's why we mentored and developed these other leaders at Hunter that we would plant in these neighboring towns. But I would encourage anyone that has people in their company that has any interest. They don't even have to be labeled a manager or whatever, just anybody. It could be an apprentice. If they are interested in any type of leadership training or anything like that, I would invest it in them. I would get them plugged into like a mastermind, something like that, to let them start learning how to lift their own lid. It's going to raise the whole organization up if you do.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we're we're all going to John Maxwell's training in Orlando in
Cool.
I want to say October, August, something like that.
Yep, yep. August. I'll probably be there as well. So it'll blow your socks off, man. You'll get a kick out of it, and it's very, very good.
Yeah, I can't wait. And as far as what you were saying, the other side of it is I think uh, sometimes we put unrealistic expectations on our employees,
Yeah.
because we know what we did, and when they can't do it like this, oh, I'm hiring shit employees. I can't find good people. Well, did you teach them? Did you ever give them an opportunity to do what you do? You know what I mean? So I feel like, oh, we have a hiring shortage. We don't have enough people. Okay, well, you got to adapt to it. You can't bitch about it.
Yeah,
We,
man,
we
that's
have to
it. That
go ahead.
Dave Rothker, he's a mentor of mine, a good friend as well. But he says we don't have a trade, a technician shortage. We have a leadership shortage, and I sound like you're on the same path as that as well. And I'm a believer in it as well. But you know what? What's crazy is there's a book I'm actually reading now. It's called Well Being at Work, but it documents about how most people, and I forget what the stat is, but most people don't even know what winning looks like at work or what's expected of them. So just like you said, hey, we're so eager to get disappointed and claim, think that people can't do things as good as what we could or someone else could. But you know what? If we haven't defined what winning looks like, if we haven't given them the training to be able to at least learn to grow to that level, and we haven't given them the process to follow, then my goodness. And then the last part is this is why I love leveraging technology to implement these things like this, and then give a coaching session, immediately after. Some people call it a debrief, whatever. But I'm a huge fan of that, just because, if you don't inspect what you expect, then we're going to continue to gripe and moan about how no one's any good.
Yeah, amen on that. And it's, it gets to the point where, with those realistic expectations that we have some good people that we're leaving the trades because of that, like now it's finding where we just try to find if they're good people. Because I always say, if a person has good morals, good values, they're bright, they can communicate, I can't teach somebody to not be a shitbag. You know what I mean? So if
That's
they're a
it.
good,
Yeah.
if they're a good person that you can teach them this trade and give them a fulfilling career. And um, there's a lot of these misguided kids out there that I've had awesome luck with. I got one now that I found him 6 years ago. He's a $2.5 million salesman now.
Heck yeah, man.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
he's good. I mean, it. Yeah, it's just funny thinking back. He was wet behind the ears. I remember the first time I saw him trying to put ductwork together. He might as well shove the wrench up his ass. But you know, just seeing where
yeah.
he's come in 6 years is awesome.
Well, and plus, I mean, I remember even at Hunter, we had some people join our team that did work at other companies, and people thought they maybe weren't that good at the other companies, and then they flourished in our system. So I think this also goes back to the leadership thing, man. I think if you build a culture that people want to be a part of, where they actually care about what they do and where they're at, what they're doing, and who they're doing it with, and then provide all those things that you talked about and I've talked about with the training and the processes, you'd be surprised. A lot of people that may have been written off as not very good technicians suddenly become really high performers in the right system.
Yeah, I agree. And I know we talked about it was hard to get out of a truck, not to backtrack, but I know with me when, I had all these customers that like, I want Gil, they would request me because they love
Mm-hmm.
me. And I wanted to be that one to go out and serve that customer. It was hard to let somebody else do it. Um,
Yeah.
and then when that person would go out and they're doing the system right and the customer loved them, I should be happy because that's, but it kind of it hits you like, well, man, like now that customer loves this guy, and that's a good thing though. That means you did
Yeah.
something right, you know. Don't let it hurt
Yeah.
your pride.
That's it. I got a really good tip for that too. When people want Gil or they want Chris, so I ran into this all the time as well. But all I would do was I would take a quick phone call and say, "Hey, yeah, Mr. Gill, don't worry, I'm sending Danny out here. I've trained him, I'm mentoring him. Plus, he's going to follow our systems. And check it out, I'm going to be able to review and see all the pictures and all of his notes before he even gets done with the job. So believe you me, you're going to be in good hands." And most of the time, me just taking that 1 minute to chat with that customer and let them know that, hey, personally mentored, I'm going to review it. They were fine with it. And guess what? They never asked for me again because Danny or whoever would go out and do a really good job. And, that was that. So if anyone else is battling that, take the 1 minute just to communicate with the customer and let them know you've got a process, you're going to review it. And I guarantee you they'll get over that little hump. And then after a little bit, they quit asking for you at all.
That's awesome. So how did you as far as when it came to so was Service Titan the first CRM that you ever used?
No, man, I started on just pen and paper and then tried a couple others. I was with one, I don't know, ESC Desco product, but I'll never forget. We're in the middle of summer and we were pretty busy. I'd grown to like probably a $2 or $3 million company at this point. It was still small, but we were busy, and our server crashed, and all of a sudden, we didn't know where to send the text. I mean, we're dead in the water, and computer guy comes up, our server's dead, we can't get any of the records, and I had to wait on customers to call in because they were mad because we didn't show up. So Ara, the founder or the co-founder at Service Titan, believe it or not, was actually like doing sales at this time for the company. Is right when they started up, and I had his cell phone. I called him. I'm like, "Tell me this won't happen if I come to Service Titan." He's like, "Chris, we're in the cloud. It'll be safe." I'm like, "Let's do it. Get me onboarded." And I don't know. We did the fastest onboarding in history, and I was off to the races and never looked back. But once I realized that I could run my whole business right from my phone wherever I was, man, it set me free. So then I fell even more in love with the software and started really getting to know it and learn it and implement. How can I take these processes I've learned from really good companies, plug them into the software to make them repeatable and hold people accountable, and plus me be able to do it from anywhere in the nation? Man, it set me free to go travel with my family, and so that was really a springboard. And almost all the companies are doing it now. I mean, but at that time it was pretty new to be doing that.
It was cutting edge, and
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, like, I know, like how you said how you have to learn the numbers. I think a lot of people make a jump to something like Service Titan and they get all this data, but they don't know what the hell it means.
It's useless if you don't know what. Yeah, if you don't pay attention to it or you don't use it to actually run your company.
Yeah.
So
So
that,
if you go, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, I mean, I will give Service Titan respect. So, I mean, that is why they've brought people like myself. They've brought in a guy named Tom Howard, which may be the best operator in HVAC that this country's ever seen. The dude is a genius. He's got 6 companies and is the VP of customer experience at Service Titan. But he's a phenomenal guy. They also brought in Angie Snow, has an awesome company there in Utah. So they've brung in contractors that were successful, and they're like, all right, help our team, help customers, and that's our goal, that's our mission. So it took a lot of guts and a lot of faith for them to, they're a software company. What in the world are they going to do going out and hiring premier contractors? Because it's not cheap, right? So they've took that risk, and I'll give it to them because not many companies would do that.
Yeah, no, and that's that. I mean, and that's how they learn and they stay one of the big boys out there. You know what I mean? Like when anybody
Yeah.
talks CRMs at a certain size company, I mean, let's just be honest, Service Titan's it. I mean, I know there's some new kids on the block out there now that are making a
Yeah.
push and stuff like that. You know, and well, I gotta hurry up. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, some of the comments. I gotta make sure I say this. So Ter said Chris helped me a ton yesterday, so I wanted to make sure I
Cool.
said that.
Yeah. Good deal.
And a friend of mine, Zeke, he's a local, he owns a company. He's not far from me. He said, I'm learning them, but damn, there's a ton of numbers to look at in Service Titan.
Well, I got some advice too, man. We've got a thing called the contractor playbook, and it narrows down the KPIs to the first ones you need to focus on. So check that out, Zeke, if you get a chance. If you need just Google Service Titan Contractor Playbook, you can find it as well.
That's that's awesome. Yeah, because you think about, like, just like I tell like technicians, It's great. Like I always make technicians start out on analog gauges. I want them to be able to figure out
There
superheat
you
and
go.
subcooling because it's great if you have those nice digital gauges and it gives you superheat and subcooling. But if you don't know what it's supposed to be, then what's the point of knowing it?
That's it. Yeah.
Same with your
Yeah.
numbers. It's great that you know what it is, but if you don't know what it's supposed to be, then what are we really doing? So that's what we mean when we're talking, guys. Like take the time to learn that stuff and keep track. Because how many business owners out there, like you don't hear about the ones that failed. I had a venture years ago that I went into business with some guys. Now I'm friends with them. The relationship soured, but we we did a lot of things wrong and it was going to fail. So I had to jump ship. And I try to be honest about that because you don't hear about the ones that fail. You hear about the guys that, go crazy and, like Victor Rancor, who's been in the business not that long, but he's got some huge company and other people like that. But a lot of people get out there and they think they're making all this money and then they look in the bank and they're like, I didn't make shit. Like, like you said, I had just enough money to make my
Yeah.
bills. I thought I was doing good and that really wasn't it.
That's it, man. Yeah, a lot of people beat their chest. I mean, it's an ego thing, but very few will be transparent enough to share the struggles. And I guarantee you, we all got the struggles. We all got them.
Yeah, and well, let's be honest too. On social media, people lie.
Yeah,
I'm a $35 million company, and then you're like, oh, they're like a $9 million company. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just which,
yeah,
but that's okay. You should be just as proud of that $9 million company. You know what I mean? Like we
yeah,
don't have to fuzz it and put the BS on top of it. It's all about what you want, and that's what like you said how you're all about. And I'm having brain farts about working backwards on something. What was the word you said earlier?
yeah. Reverse engineering. Yeah,
Yes, reverse engineering things in life. If you want something, figure out what it's going to take to get it and then start doing that, and work your way to it. And I've always been that way and I don't think that I am better than anybody. I'm far from it. I started off as a dumbass in life with an addiction and stupid stuff. And when I had a strong enough family that was like, "Hey, Gil, you're a fucking moron. Don't do this." And after that, I just said, "You know what? I put balls to the wall and nobody was going to stop me." So if somebody was like, "Hey man, you're never going to do that." Hey, we're not friends anymore. I don't need you.
yeah.
I don't need people like you that doubt me in my life. I want people that are going to be honest but support me. I'm just going to keep moving along. You know what I mean? So it's yeah. I
The,
just I love this trade and I think that so many people could be living the life that they want. Like even when it comes to the technicians, not to keep, backtracking, like we always thought that the only thing you can do in this trade is work really, really long hours and you got to work till midnight and
mm,
that's you can't see your family in the summertime. Well, guess what? That's not true because there is companies
that's
out
not
there
true.
where you can run 4 calls, be home for dinner and make more money than when you ran 15 calls. Because if you ran
That's
15,
right.
you weren't doing a good job. Let's just be honest. It's not humanly possible to do a good job for that customer. Don't kid yourself.
That's right. You mentioned, surrounding yourself with people that are honest. So that is one. I know we got to wrap here, but one thing I would encourage all technicians, managers, really wherever you're at in an organization, um, the higher one goes in an organization, the harder it is to get those that report to them to tell them the truth. You know, so like even now at Service Titan, I work with some really successful people, and everyone wants to say good things, but they really value the opinion of the people that'll shoot them straight, tell them the truth, because that's how we all get better. So for your boss, one of the best gifts you can ever give to them is being not only just having a positive attitude, but the second part is just being dead honest with them. So that way they know the truth and give them constructive feedback. And the good bosses will love you for it, and they'll actually help you flourish.
Yeah, well, that's like when a guy comes in the office and like it's review time. Because I personally, I don't think that I owe somebody more money just because time has passed. You know,
Yeah, I'm with
um,
you. Yeah,
yeah. What more have you done? But I will tell them, hey, if you want to make this, for you to do that, you need to do A, B, C, D. And if you do that, then you will be worth this. So I'm trying to give them a path to get where they're trying to go, not just say, oh, you're a piece of shit. I'll never give you that. Like, what is that going to do?
that's back to that book, man. I'm telling you, Well-Being at Work from Gallup. If you haven't read it, I'd highly recommend it. But when it says that most people don't know what's expected of them or what winning looks like, so you just nailed it right there. I mean, letting them know up front, that way they know exactly what they got to do to perform and how they can earn that raise or earn more money, whatever it is they're looking for.
Yeah, that's definitely the truth. So I know we're close to an hour. I mean, we don't always have to stop in an hour, but I don't like to lock people down for too long.
I'm with you.
Um, but yeah, Chris. Well, but I guess before we go, I guess let everybody know like how can they get in touch with you if somebody's looking to sign up with Service Titan or has questions. How can they do that?
Yeah, so the best way for Service Titan, anything there. I mean, obviously they can just go to servicetitan.com and check out the website. And there's 100,000 different ways to dive in and see what it's all about and all the info. But if you're already a Service Titan customer, two things I would encourage you to do. One, the Service Titan Masterminds Facebook group. It's a private group, but then also we're fixing to have a launch a whole new community. So I would encourage, whether you're a technician, an office person, an owner, to get engaged, because that's where you'll get to network with a lot of these other very successful people. That's how, like even Tersh was on here. He's in there and helps people all the time and asks good questions and gives honest feedback. So I would encourage people to connect with us there as well.
Awesome. That is awesome. And you also said, I know that we talked about Service Titan, but if anybody's interested in the training, how can they find your training?
Yeah, go to gotimesuccessgroup.com. We've got a killer team there, man. I've got an awesome school down here in Texas, but then we also have a full team of certified Service Titan coaches that they're the ones that go in on site, get all this stuff lined up and operating just like the most successful companies that for Service Titan, they do that. And then also the business coaching, whether it's how to hire, whether it's how to grow, learn your numbers. Got a lot of really smart people on the team there at Go Time.
That's awesome. So, guys, those things are there. Those tools are there if you need it. So don't hesitate to use it. And like we talked about earlier, don't try to reinvent the wheel. So people out there have done this before. They know how to be successful. So take their advice. And I know there's a bunch of different ones out there. Let's be honest. It, I haven't seen one yet that's bad. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anybody out
Yeah.
there that's just knowingly teaching people bad information. Just check them out. If I can help it, guide you guys, if you're like, hey, this one reached out to me, should I do it? I'll either tell you yes, no, I don't know, I've never heard anything. I'll try to help you in any way possible. So. I won't keep you too much longer, Chris. So I thank you for coming on, man. I definitely like to
No,
stay in touch, man. I love this, and like I said, this is great that I had someone from Service Titan that we can give Service Titan the props they deserve because they are an amazing CRM, and you don't really gotta sell them because they sell themselves as far as people talking about what they do and what it provides to their company. So I'm glad that we could just have an intelligent HVAC conversation. Like this has been a really good time.
man, I appreciate you having me on. That this is the funnest part about my new job, is getting to come visit with people like you because I always learn something as well. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, and stay in touch, man. We can try to do this. You're more than welcome to come back on if something changes, or whether it's something with Go Time or with Service Titan that you guys need to get out. Let me know, and we'll work it out to get you guys back on here.
Okay, cool.
All right. I will start. Goddamn Apple, always wanting the password right in the middle of a podcast. It pops up and makes you put in the password. All right. Let me. My thing here is not letting me switch over. Trying to switch so you're not on there. There we go. Sorry, had some internet problems earlier. My stream deck's all having a brain fart, not letting me press buttons. Um, there we go. All right, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and close this thing out. Thank you to everybody in the chat. I'm gonna do a live stream here soon so that I can just communicate with you guys. I know it's hard when I have a guest trying to talk to them and then look in the chat at the same time. But I do thank all you guys for being here. We are here every Wednesday night. So I'll try to just say thank you real fast to some people that I saw. So Jessica Egan, I saw that she was here earlier, had to leave. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you. Zeke's here. Thank you, buddy. Craig Egan. Um, I know Adam from HVAC Overtime. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. Let's see some of the Facebook. So if you watch on Facebook, that's awesome. Wherever you watch it, that's good. It's just if you're in the private Facebook group, it won't let you come through. So, I think that is everybody. Thanks, Zeke. Hey guys, and I said it earlier, and I'm not to promote this and stuff like that, but me and Pete Ramsey, if you look in the Facebook group, I'm sharing it. We are doing a thing. I get emails all the time about people wanting to start their own company or they just started their own company. So I've worked with Pete to put some things together. It's a free kind of little group where we can help and talk to each other and kind of help people get started. Guys, and girls, it is 100% free. I promise you, it is free. It won't cost you anything, and there's nothing going to be sold in there. When me and Pete agreed to do this, I said if it's not free and I can't help people and I'm not trying to sell them anything, then I won't be a part of it. And he was like, nope, I agree the same way. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. Remember, stay safe out there. All right. Please go follow me on all the social media sites, Facebook group, Instagram. Download the podcast. Subscribe to all the channels. Please go give the podcast a review. I know people reviewed it a lot there for a while and then just kind of dropped off. So if you like what I provide, you like listening to the podcast, and gain from some information from it, then go give me a review and let me know. That would be great. Let other people know that I'm giving content to help them. All right? Stay safe out there. Always make it home the same way you left. Remember to do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy. I love you guys. I'm here to help. Together, we're going to make this trade even better than it already is. And until next week, I'll talk to you mofos later. All right? Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors.